Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is your host, Monique Denton. Welcome to another episode of SIS Table Talk. Look, we have another one of our phenomenal SIS Network members, and that is Sisters Inspire Sisters. If you have not joined the membership or you don't know anything about Sisters Inspire Sisters, take a look. The website is at the bottom of the screen. SistersInspireSisters.com will give you all the information that you need to know. We are still looking for some phenomenal women to be part of our 50 Phenomenal book project and anthology. And this is a complete lead into our conversation this evening. So I'm excited about this. If you've ever thought about becoming an author, or you ever wanted to be an author and you wanted to start off and not do it alone, this is the right broadcast for you to watch. Listen, we have the phenomenal, the visionary of Coaches Connect, Miss LaToya Nicole. And LaToya, first of all, thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for being a part of the SIS network. But can you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and your experience in terms of your vast experience in terms of writing, becoming an author, and anthologies?
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me on your platform. I really appreciate it. And then you invited me to talk about what I love, and that's writing. So, so thank you so much. My name is LaToya Nicole. I am an author. I am a certified belief therapist, so I'm trained in cognitive behavior techniques. I'm an organizational consultant and a self-publishing consultant. I have two companies. It's SOLO Coaching and Consulting. And then I have Unaltered Voices Publishing based out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but I'm remote. So no worries. I can talk to you virtual. I can help you virtually. But I also have a blog. It's called Soul Conversations. That's where I get to unpack and talk about all those childhood experiences that had me stuck and stagnant and wandering throughout life for years. I'm in my late 30s now. Ever since probably my early 30s, that's when I started seeing a coach and seeing a counselor, and the trajectory of my life has changed. I love writing. Writing has been the thing that I feel like kept me during all those times growing up in a household where therapy and coaching was not something that I had ever heard about, let alone participated in. So writing is my first love. Organization is my first love. And I take organization a step further because most of the time when people think, oh, she's an organizer, they just assume I'm talking about their homes. But
Right.
it's mental clutter that we deal with. It's emotional clutter that we deal with. And even with me helping authors write, there's an organized fashion to it so it can be less overwhelming. So that's about that's about what I do. Yeah.
So now, when you started writing, and you have, I mean, you've authored several books, but when you started writing, was that in response to some of the therapy and coaching that you did? Was that something that you did to be therapeutic, or was it something that you've always wanted to do?
Oh, definitely. I've always wanted to be an author. Always. Now, I do write for therapeutic reasons. The URL for my blog is healthroughwriting.net. So I do write for those reasons, but I've always wanted to be an author. I've always wanted to own a publishing company, but I thought it was going to be more so magazines because when I was younger, I was really thin and I was like, okay, I could be a model, have my own magazine company and everything. So for those reasons,
Yeah.
yes. But authoring, yes, that's oh my gosh, I can't recall how many times when my daughter was little, she didn't even know that deep down I wanted to be an author. And she would always just randomly say, so, mommy, when you going to write your book? And she was a little girl. And I
Wow.
was like, oh my gosh, this girl is like, my hair is standing up on my arms. But back when that was taking place, I was still so bruised and broken that I could not see past the trauma to even pursue a goal that I've had. But I hung on to it. I hung on because when the opportunity came for me to be a part of an anthology, that's where I got my feet wet. in an anthology.
Got it. So you started after participating in your first anthology project.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I've been in a few. I've been in a lot. But yes, that's how I got my feet wet. And it was a great decision.
Wow. So now for women that are looking to write and share their stories, and I always say that anthologies and participating with other authors is the best way because one, you're learning, you get a chance to put your story out there, and it's kind of like the introduction to your book or the introduction to your next chapter. What recommendations would you have for women that have a story? They want to share. They've thought about becoming an author. They haven't participated in an anthology. What would you recommend to them, and what would you say are the pros and cons of it?
Okay, well, definitely if you have a story to share, we know that our voice is our power. Use your voice because you'll never know who you may help. And when you are out there looking for different anthologies, if you're not aligned to someone like Monique who does anthologies already, but you're just out there looking for the right one, just make sure it aligns with your story because there are so many out there and you got to make sure that the genre is clear, make sure that the theme of the anthology is clear,
Yeah,
and make sure that what the visionary is asking for is in alignment because you don't want your story to get lost in a whole lot of stuff that's not consistent. You don't want that. And then you want to make sure you write it in a way that you're being totally transparent. Like be transparent because you want to touch hearts. I know a lot of us when we write, we're writing for us, but you have to write for the reader because it's the reader that you want to enlighten. It's the reader that you want to show them, hey, I've been through this too. I made it out. You can do this too.
right.
So definitely clear concepts. Make sure they're clear when you're choosing the one you want to be in.
Absolutely. And then the other thing that I like that you said when you talked about transparency, because that's so true. Part of the reason why we do what we do and you do what you do is because we want to encourage, empower, and inspire women that despite different obstacles, I've been through some things and you might be going through some things, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. And the other thing that I think is so powerful about authors and about women now becoming publishers is that we are taking ownership, one, of our stories. So we're taking ownership of our stories. We don't need a big publishing company. And for those that are thinking about writing your story and telling your story and becoming an author, you don't need a large publishing company to write your story, help you write your story, to tell your story, okay, to publish your story. These are all things that you can do yourself. You just have to put your mind to it. I also, with the anthologies, I look at them, and especially in the SIS network, is chicken soup for the soul, right? So you have, chicken soup for the soul. Oh my goodness. That publisher, he made so much. He chicken soup for the soul for everything. And what I like to say is that we don't need anyone to tell us. We have our own chicken soup for the soul stories, and we
Yes.
can publish our own stories and we can share them. So it's really important that if you have something inside of you that can inspire someone, that you need to get that out. Now,
Right.
let's talk about, let's talk about your track record, because there are authors that talk the talk and walk the walk. And even from our first conversation that we had, I was like, okay, this sister is about her business. So tell us, how many anthologies have you participated in? How many books have you published? And what are you working on now?
Okay, let's see here. I have them all right there. So I have one, two, three, four, five, six. I have six anthologies that I have participated in. I have one that I facilitated. I'm in the process of facilitating the second, volume two. And that's what I'm working on right now. And I'm also working on my second solo project. The first one, Alone in the Dark, My Battle with Depression.
Mhm.
Um, whew. So I took my stories. because I'm very intentional about the anthologies I choose to be in. So I
Yes.
took my stories from each anthology that I had been in, and those were like puzzle pieces until I got to the big picture, which is my book, which is
Wow.
Alone in the Dark. I'm very, very intentional. There are a lot of anthologies out there, but I'm not jumping in an anthology just because, oh, somebody popular or whatever is putting out a book. No, 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 no.
Right.
It's going to align with my brand and what I do as a coach.
Right.
So I did six. I facilitated one. I'm working on volume two for the Coaches Connect, and I'm working on my solo project all at the same time.
Wow.
So my solo project this time is going to dive deeper into goal setting and proper ways to do it, because it's so easy to have a vision board party, but
Hmm.
we don't talk about getting your mindset together. We don't talk about laying that foundation
Yes.
and knowing your why, because that's what keeps you when you want to give up 2 months after that vision board party. So,
Exactly.
yes, so that's what I have going on right now.
So I want to first of all thank our audience. We have some comments in
Thank
the
you all.
chat. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We have Talk to Me, Right for the Reader, Good Advice, 6 anthologies, and then, girl, what a strategy to put them all together. You stole my idea, LOL. So
Great minds, baby, great minds.
minds think alike. But can we get back to now? I know we're talking about anthologies, but you
Mhm.
just threw a title out there. You just threw a title and then you walked away. And I have all, yeah, you threw that out there. And I'm like, wait a minute, Alone in the Dark. I'm sorry. You got to tell us a little bit more about that. You have to tell us about that book and about that journey.
This is the proof copy, so that's why that gray line is right there. But oh my gosh, this is my baby. And I left pieces of my story in every anthology I was in, up until I got to this one. So it's 6 chapters, it's 7 chapters. The seventh one is how I broke free. But
Wow.
this story, you guys, oh my gosh, I battled depression for a very long time. I talk about it in the book. The onset was, I was second grade, being bullied by a teacher. She completely humiliated me in front of the class. And I remember I laid there in second grade wanting to die. And at that point I was just sad, but
Mhm.
I took up residency in that sadness, and it transformed into depression, which I battled until my early 30s. Um, whew, I talk about a lot because not only did I experience that in the second grade, but I was predisposed to it because I grew up with a bunch of depressed women in the house, but they just called it something else.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know, we shopped to feel better, or we dated to feel better, and different stuff like that. But it was depression. um and I was much older. I predisposed my own daughter to it, but of course I have the modalities in place, and I put her in counseling when those things started to show up, because yes, she went through her battle, and she's much better now. But oh gosh, I'm just really going deep about how my life was just spiraling out of control to the point that I didn't want to live it anymore,
Wow.
and how I came out of it all in that book.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Where can we get that book?
on Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's
But
yeah.
okay, Amazon, Alone in the Dark, author LaToya Nicole. And that is, I know. So I am, soon as we get off, I'm heading right over to Amazon because that
Mhm.
is just for you to share that. That's amazing. And that's one of the things to be able to empower. What's important about what you just said is that it started in the second grade
Mhm.
and it was from a teacher bullying you. And I often share sometimes when I speak how I will never forget, and I'm much older than you. Okay, I'm a Gigi, I'm a grandma, but I will never forget being in elementary school. And of course, we didn't have the cell phones, we didn't have the iPads. So we played. Recess was okay, we're going outside on the playground. You're going to get on the swings, you're going to do this, but we always played house. So when we played house, there'd be a group of children. Of course, the most popular kids would be the mom and the dad. And then everybody else be standing around, pick me to be a member of the family. And for some reason, LaToya, I will tell you, it is a memory, that sticks with me. I can remember every day going outside, being excited about playing the game and being part of the family, but always being chosen last. Being the last one there for someone to say, okay, we're going to pick Monique as, she'll be the daughter, or she'll be a cousin, or she'll be the aunt, or she'll be a sister. And those things, they carry on with us through young adult life, through teenage years and adulthood. And it could be small things that other people might not realize are actually traumatic situations. But until we start to identify, recognize, and deal with those, those are things that often come up in different aspects of our life. So thank you so much for sharing that. Hashtag, this is why anthologies are so important, because you are sharing your story. You're not the only one that dealt with some stuff in elementary school.
Right.
Not the only one. There's some other sisters out there that dealt with some stuff, but don't even know that this is what might be impacting or impeding their progress today, and for them to be able to live their best life. So your current anthology, which I am excited because I am a co-author in Coaches Connect. Yes, I am super excited because I participated in anthologies, but this is the first one that really highlights coaches. And this is what I love about this. So can you tell us more about this anthology, and for those that might be interested in participating, how they could participate?
Okay, so the Coaches Connect, a guide to navigating through adversity, is actually part 2. And the first one is when we introduced ourselves to the world and the backstory on how we became who we needed, because that's a part of healing, becoming who you needed. Like if you have inner child wounds, who did you need when you were a child? So I became that. We became that. So that was the first one. But this one, we're going to take those stories and go a little deeper by talking about the adversities that we've experienced that aligns with the type of coach that we are. And we're giving y'all some strategies on how to come out of that thing. We're giving y'all some practical applications, some things that you can actually do, okay? Because I know some of the advice that people give is way off, but we're going to keep it real, and we're going to give you some practical applications, things that we actually tested and we tried on ourselves. That's volume 2. And of course, if you want to be in it, you can definitely email me or inbox me if you're following LaToya Nicole or author LaToya Nicole, so we can go ahead and get that set up, because come August 1st, we're going to start writing. I've already outlined the writing workshop, ready to post it in the group. That's when we're going to start writing. So if you want to be a part, if you are a coach, a mentor, a counselor, a speaker, just any type of healer, okay? You are definitely welcome to join us to tell your story of adversity and provide these strategies. And the fun part is that not only we're doing the book, but we're doing a companion piece as well. So we're going to be doing a workbook. So even though inside of the book, we may only give 3 strategies, but you may have 10, then you can put the other 7 in your workbook. So I'm excited about that part too.
I love it. And just a book about for the coaches to come together. And not only that, so, okay, let's talk about the other end of being a part of an anthology. So one is, to me, one of the best benefits is collaboration. So you are collaborating with a group of like-minded authors, and we all have a mission and a goal. We all want to share our stories, and we all want to empower. With your particular anthology, the fact that you're getting a companion book with it, a workbook. And for those authors or those that are thinking about sharing their story, I would say you definitely need to contact LaToya, and your information is at the bottom of the screen, because what you're also creating is a product. So when you start your speaking or when you're doing your coaching, you now have a product that you can offer your clients. You have a product that you can now list on your website. You have a product that is also going to give you credibility. And I know we're becoming bestsellers, right?
Yeah,
There's a
no,
okay.
definitely.
All right. So listen,
Definitely.
and you can add that credibility.
Yeah.
And you're not doing the work. Sorry, LaToya. LaToya is doing the work because this is what LaToya does. What
Yes.
you're doing is writing your contribution to the chapter. And that's another thing that I love about anthologies. So let's talk a little bit more. See, I get excited about the writing because even with
Me
the
too.
magazines, I just knew I was going to be on the cover of Essence. Okay. But it wasn't the modeling part. But I'm like Essence, Black Enterprise, and Ebony, even though Ebony is fully digital right now.
Mhm.
Those three are on my vision board. It's been on for years, and those are part of my goals to have my business highlighted or also to be a contributing writer for those.
Wow, that's amazing. I
Yeah.
love it. I love
When you do your anthologies and when you start the project, how do you keep your motivation? How do you keep going? You've participated in 6. You've launched your second. You were a part of one of the Sisters Inspire Sisters, one of our anthologies, which by the way, your chapter is absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you.
So listen, ladies, Self-Love, Abundance and Manifestation, Volume 2. If you have not read that or picked that anthology up, you need to pick it up. But how do you keep your motivation to really keep going and to keep sharing and to keep pouring into others?
Honestly, because I fought so hard to reclaim my voice. When, not just at school that happened, but in the household too. So I,
Mhm.
I had no safe space, and in the midst of all of that, I lost who I was. I lost my desires to do everything that I wanted to do, even though I still thought about it. I just didn't pursue it because I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was smart enough, and I really had no support. Like, I'm kind of when we talk, remember, you asked me, you're doing all this alone, and I'm like, yeah. It's because that's what I'm used to. No, it's just what I'm used to. But um my motivation is using my voice. I have to tell my story. I have to get this out because I fought death
Mm.
to be where I am, and to use my voice and tell my story. And when I say I fought death, yeah, I almost died once, but I almost took my own life a few times too. So I've
Wow.
gone through so much to get to where I am, to be able to come on here and talk to you, to be able to write all these books, to be able to write these blogs, or even talk about different stuff on my podcast. I have really, really, really been through the fire, and using my voice, knowing that I'm helping someone by sharing my story, or going on my podcast and talking about anything, that gives me the motivation to keep going.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we have about 5 more minutes, which is good
Okay.
because it's funny on the first call we both started crying. So LaToya and I are cryers. We both started
I'm
our
sorry.
first call introduction to each other, first time speaking to each other. I don't know what it was, but we have been connected ever since. And one of the things that you brought up when you said doing it alone and used to doing it alone, again,
Mhm.
that's the benefit of being a part of an anthology. You
Yes.
don't have to do it alone. That's the benefit of being part of the Sisters Inspire Sisters Network. You don't have to do it. And we don't have to live in the same community. We work virtually. We are living in a virtual world. So you don't have to live in the same community to do this. If you are not connected to a community, I recommend that you get connected to a community. If you're trying to write or share your story, I recommend that you reach out to an author. You reach out to LaToya. You see what works for you. And then the other thing is when we started, you talked about being a certified belief therapist?
Mhm. Mhm.
Can you just tell us? Because when you said that, I was like, all right, now this is some credentials here. So, what certified belief therapist? Just tell us what that is. And what that's about, and also how that's helped you with sharing.
Okay, well, a certified belief therapist, it's just that I'm trained in cognitive behavior techniques
Mm-hmm,
because I found through my own life, just studying myself, because I do study myself, that my mindset and my belief systems
mm-hmm,
were my hindrance. So, as a cognitive behavior coach or a certified belief therapist, what I do is I help people to uncover the thought processes that keep them stuck. Because it's a lot of things that were said to us when we were children, and,
mm-hmm,
and it has penetrated and it's taken root and we've internalized it, and we can't move forward because we're thinking about what grandma said when grandma was angry with
mm-hmm,
grandpa, and she probably took it out on you and started projecting her insecurities on you.
mm-hmm.
So in doing that, I also made the connection that the things that we believe impact us emotionally, and our emotions influences our behavior. So what you think, you feel, and how you feel, you're going to do. So if you are putting off your goals, or you're stuck and you don't want to move forward, we have to get here first to see why. We have to get to the origin. And once we get to the origin of it, then we heal that. We got to heal from that point.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then that there is, and that's really good because the other part is that what we don't understand is that it also starts to impact our health. So it
Oh,
also impacts us physically
yes.
if we don't start to deal with some of these things.
Yes.
So the last three things, and yes, 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 we have your website in the chat, LaToya Nicole Inc.com.
Yes.
The website is in the chat. Thank you so much for putting that in the chat.
Thank you.
Three tips, three tips that you can leave our audience. There's someone on this call that has not yet shared their story. There's someone
Okay.
on this broadcast that hasn't shared their story. They've written some things down. They want to become an author. They haven't done it yet. If you can give them three pieces of advice, what would that be?
Okay. So, three pieces of advice. The first one would be start with an anthology. That's
Yes.
the first one. That'll get your feet wet until you are ready to just tell the full story. The second part would be definitely get a coach. Get your writing coach. And the reason is because the writing coach will help you pull out more than you may be holding some back, and they'll help you pull it out more and help you get a more refined, structured chapter written. And then the third one is just don't hold back. Look, kind of goes with the second one. Don't hold back. Tell your story unaltered. That's why I named my business Unaltered Voices. No sugarcoating. Don't worry about how somebody else will feel because you're writing this. Tell your truth, because there's a way to write your story without putting everybody out there. And of course, I can help you do that. But tell your story unaltered. This is your power. This is your voice. This is your superpower, actually. And remember, somebody needs to hear this story. So if I could give you three pieces of advice, those would those would be the three. Definitely start with an anthology if you're not ready to take on a big project.
Thank you, thank you. And we have them in the chat. Thank you so much. Start with an
Thank
anthology. Get
you.
yourself a writing coach and
Mm-hmm.
don't hold back. Okay, don't hold back.
Don't.
Latoya, thank you. This has been wonderful.
Thank
Again,
you.
Latoya's website is in the chat. Also at the bottom of the screen. Listen, it's time to get connected. It's time to join a community of like-minded women like Latoya and myself that are here to support you, not just support you, but here to hold you accountable. Latoya I will see something on Facebook and I'll send you an email. Hopefully I won't have your number, because if I have your number, I'm going to text or call you and be like, okay, what's going on here? So this is the thing. Get with a community of like-minded women that are here to support you. Get with a community of like-minded women that are here to also increase your visibility, your audience, your network, and get the coaching. And then bring your expertise to the table. because there's different areas. What we do is we teach and we learn from one another, which is one of the great things about being connected. Again, I am a contributing author in the Coaches Connect. I'm super excited about that. If you're interested, wait, how many more slots do you have available?
We could do. I think we have. It's only like 3 or 4 more. I'm sorry, y'all.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. It's only three
All
or four
right.
more.
3 or 4 more.
Yeah.
Listen, get in contact with LaToya. You can go to the website, LaToyaNicoleInc.com. LaToya, thank you so much. This has been
Thank you.
absolutely wonderful.
Thank
Listen,
you.
everyone, thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe. If you enjoyed the broadcast, please share and invite others. And if you know someone else that wants to share their story, please share with them LaToya's information. And I just want to read this comment. Accolades to LaToya Nicole. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
this presentation. So
Thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye, everybody.